Welcome to Last Week in Star Wars. That's right, Star Wars, not clickbait. Some events of the past week have led me to reconsider the way that I cover the news. I will talk about that later. But the main story that I want to talk about today is Mark Hamill and his comments about appearing in future Star Wars films, specifically Episode 9. When asked how the unfortunate passing of Carrie Fisher affected him, this is what he had to say.
Terribly. It really has tarnished my ability to enjoy it to its fullest. I mean, you were asking earlier, are you going to come back? I don't care anymore on that level because Han Solo is gone, Luke is gone, and you just can't get the band back together the way you wanted it to be, and it shouldn't be that way. So it is what it is. And rather than being sorry that we can't have more of her, I'm just grateful that we had the time with her that we did.
I think that's completely fair. He and Carrie were very, very close, so I can understand the ambivalence about whether or not he comes back, because I'm sure being on a Star Wars set without her just wouldn't feel the same. Now, as a fan, of course, I would love to see Luke return for Episode 9, and I do think that if he were asked to come back, he would, and he would deliver another fantastic performance. But in the real world, if he were to be offered a part in the movie and he said no thank you, I would get it. I wouldn't hold it against him at all. All I really want to say is that I don't think the headlines claiming that Mark Hamill doesn't care about Star Wars anymore are quite fair to him. I still believe he is very passionate about Star Wars, and especially its fans, but I also don't think he owes us anything. Moving on, of course you probably already know that the official trailer for Solo: A Star Wars Story was released this past week. I already did a breakdown on it, and you can watch that in the cards. But some eagle-eyed fans caught something pretty cool that I totally missed. In the background of a shot, you can see Tam Posla. He was a background character in Rogue One, and he has since appeared in the Dr. Aphra comics as a total badass. All we really know about him right now is that in Rogue One, he was a lawman trying to track down Dr. Evazan. Well, we know he had the death sentence in 12 systems, so maybe in Solo this is like the beginning of Tam's investigation as Dr. Evazan gets into his first acts of his criminal career or something like that. I expect we're going to learn more about him in the visual guide for Solo, as we learned a lot about him in the visual guide for Rogue One, but I always liked his character design, and I think that this is a pretty cool inclusion. Moving on again, EA announced on Friday that they would be adding a new game mode to Battlefront II, which will be out this Wednesday, and it's called Ewok Hunt. One of the weapons at the Ewoks' disposal are the Wisties, little fairy-like creatures from the made-for-TV Ewok movies back in the 80s. I think it's pretty cool that Lucasfilm is mining stuff like that for the games. I'm actually very excited to give this a shot. It's different and kind of goofy, and I'm into that. Outside of official news, I think this series could be a very cool place to highlight our fellow Star Wars fans and their own projects, and I'd like to start by congratulating Looking for Leia for hitting their funding goal. If you haven't heard of this, it's a fan-funded 6-part series exploring the female perspective of women and girls who love Star Wars. They reached their goal of $25,000 with 9 days left to spare, so congratulations to them. I look forward to seeing the final product, and I put a link to their page in the description. Also, exactly 1 week ago, Black Series Rebels released their very first live show. If you aren't familiar with Alex and Steve, they normally film a very good-looking show literally in a closet, but they got to stretch their legs a little bit and do something with their fans. The live show is fun, funny, and just full of good energy, so go check their stuff out if you never have. I put a link to the live show in the description as well. The last thing I want to address this week is why I'm moving away from the Last Week in Clickbait title. When I started this series, it was coming from a place of frustration and anger and negativity, and the very nature of the show was causing a rift between me and other YouTubers, and it was setting up this kind of us versus them vibe within our communities, and we talked it out and we cleared the air, and we agreed that that's the last thing that any of us wants. I mean, I could see that being hurtful to the fandom, and I am sorry for my part in that. So from now on, this series is going to be a reflection of what I want this channel as a whole to be about, and that is positivity and Star Wars. So I am still, like today, going to offer clarification for headlines that I think deserve it, but it's not going to be a pointing my finger at someone who I think is doing wrong. I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I think I'm just going to keep it to more my opinion. And I mean, we just got to keep this optimistic. I want to be a part of helping bring the fandom together. I don't want to have a part in dividing it at all. I still don't know if this is going to be a set weekly series that comes out every Sunday, because some weeks are going to be lighter than others in terms of news, and I'm still going to cover major announcements throughout the week as they come to light. But what I do know is that I like this format, and I'm having fun making videos on camera with the graphics and all that, so I want to adapt it to do kind of editorial type pieces where it'll be more opinionated and I'll discuss things that don't necessarily have right or wrong answers, but that I think are still worth discussing because they're interesting. So if there isn't any news to talk about any given week, you can expect one of those videos in its place. But that's it for today. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and consider checking out my Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.